and inspire our hearts and our hands to do your work. Speak and give to us a trust and a faith in you that you have great things planned even for us. Help us to be the people that you have called us to be. Help us to do the good works that you have prepared for our hands. Give us this hope in spite of me or through me. For this we pray. Amen. Nathanael was dwelling underneath a tree. We don't know exactly what he was doing there underneath that fig tree, but a lot of people have speculated over the centuries that he was probably praying, because it was the custom there for Jews in the Middle East to find a place of solace, a place that was quiet, a place that was kind of hidden, to go off and say their prayers. And the speculation around Nathanael being someone who would be there under the fig tree praying is built out of the idea of the words that are said to him, both by Jesus and by Philip. That Nathanael clearly was a man of faith, that he was a man who was expecting the Messiah, someone who was devout. And he is somebody who is considered to be a true Israelite in whom there is no deceit. And so we can assume that Nathanael was there praying underneath the fig tree. Perhaps he was praying that God would bring about the Messiah even now, that the suffering of the people of Israel would be at an end. And it is in that moment that Philip comes upon him and says to him, Nathanael, we have found the one in whom Moses and the prophets wrote about. Jesus of Nazareth, the son of Joseph. And upon hearing these words, Nathanael shows his prejudice, his doubts, that he answers Philip and says, what good can come out of Nazareth? What could God possibly be doing with this man from this town way off in northern Israel, this town that doesn't matter, that's never been spoken about, this town filled with people who history has neglected to record? And Philip says to Nathanael, come and see. Now, something about Nathanael and Philip's relationship caused Nathanael to follow Philip. And it says that as he was approaching, Jesus says, behold, here comes an Israelite in which there is no deceit. Nathanael finds this to be a strange comment and says, well, how do you know me? How could you know that that's who I am? And Jesus answers him and says, before Philip came and got you, I saw you while you were underneath that fig tree. Now, who could have possibly known that he was there underneath that fig tree if he was off praying alone? Other than God himself. And Nathanael in that moment says, you are the Son of God, the King of Israel. To which Jesus responds, you believe because of these words? Because I said I saw you? You will see even greater things. I tell you truly that you will even see the heavens parted and the angels descending and ascending on the Son of Man. Nathanael could not believe that anything good could possibly come from Nazareth, from this little out-of-the-way, nowhere town. But when he allowed his faith to lead him to Jesus, when he allowed himself to encounter God, his entire life was changed. Because he found that God did choose to come from Nazareth. That God Almighty, the creator of heaven and earth, not only had sent the Messiah into the world, he had come to be the Messiah himself, and he had chosen to live his life in this little nowhere town of Nazareth. What good can come from Nazareth? God has been telling us over and over and over throughout his story that the greatest things, the most unexpected places, are where God chooses to work. Think about the heroes of God's story. You have farmers like Abraham. You have the son of a Jewish woman in the state of Egypt who somehow is exiled and brought back to lead the people, all the people of Israel, free from bondage. You have youngest sons like Joseph at the time, or David. You have shepherds and fishermen and tax collectors. You even have a man who zealously killed followers of Christ become one of Christ's greatest champions and most prolific writers in the man Paul. What good can come from Nazareth? All good can come from Nazareth when we allow God to be involved, because God chooses to pick the most unexpected places and the unexpected people to deliver his message and to do the next great thing. The prophets that spoke and were recorded did not come from high and powerful families. They are not listed in the histories and genealogies of Israel. They came from the little people, the people that everyone overlooked, the people that no one cared about, and yet their voice rang clear and loud with the authority of God. What good can come from Nazareth? Perhaps you have similar doubts and questions. Maybe your questions are, what good can come from Towanda, Pennsylvania? Or what good can come out of French Asylum United Methodist Church, or Liberty Corners United Methodist Church, or North Towanda United Methodist Church? What great thing can God do with me? I am just a farmer. I am just a government employee, a social worker, a nurse, a retired banker. I'm not some great biblical figure. I'm not some champion or pillar of faith. I am not the most popular. I am not the richest. I am not the most talented. I'm not even the best at what I do. What good can possibly come from me? How can I possibly have an impact in the world? To which I respond, come and see. See what God can do with you. See the miracles that God has prepared to be done with you when you open yourself up to them. Just as Nathanael did that day. Just as all of those other heroes of our biblical stories have done in the past. Everything that God does is done by the hands of the people who sit in his pews Sunday after Sunday, listening to his stories and wondering if they will ever do anything to change the world. You, with the power of God, are the good that can come from Nazareth. You are the hands and the feet and the hearts that can be all that God needs. And it may not even take a whole lot on your part. Perhaps a smile at the right moment, a coffee with a stranger, a new friendship is all that it takes to spark God's work in the world, God's next great thing. And maybe it starts here. And maybe it starts with you. Trusting in God. And allowing Him to work in your life, and allowing those fears and doubts about what you possibly can do, about how much God can do through you. Allowing those to be washed away by His power is the only thing that stands between God's next great thing and the moment that we are in now. What good can come from Nazareth? I say, what good can come from here is everything. Jesus can come from here. God can begin here.